Hello, parents. Welcome to the School of Humankind. Boundaries are healthy webinar. So glad you can join today. Just about me, my name is Anne Alvares. I am a parent coach, a teacher, a school counselor for over 15 years, and I am also the mother of two boys, ages 25 and 14. And my passion is to help parents break the cycle of their childhood and learn how to be a relational parent. So, boundaries are healthy. What is a boundary? A boundary is an imaginary line that separates me from you in regards to physical space, in your feelings, your needs, and your responsibilities from others. Your boundaries also tell other people how they can treat you, what's acceptable and what is not acceptable. And without boundaries, people may take advantage of you because you haven't set limits about how you expect to be treated. And this includes our children. It's important that we have boundaries with anyone who's not being healthy with us. What are the types of boundaries? We have intellectual boundaries. So being able to express our thoughts without disagreement or someone not allowing us to speak, right? What we're thinking about or our views on things. Physical boundaries. So that has to do with touch, like what are we comfortable with? Emotional boundaries, being able to express your feelings. Time boundaries, being careful not to be overdoing your time with other people and not having enough time for the things that you want to prioritize. Material boundaries, that means your money, your things that you own, if you want to loan them to other people. And then sexual boundaries, that means consent, having consent with any kind of sexual activity. Okay, so we'll go through this really quickly because I do want to go into how boundaries affect parenting. So physical boundaries are our personal space, and some people are really comfortable with touch, and other people are not. Some people are really comfortable with being close, and other people are not. And so it's okay to say to make a comment that establishes your boundary for how you feel. So physical boundary, I'm really tired. I need to sit down now. I'm not a big hugger. I'm a handshake person. I need to eat. I'm going to grab something to eat now. No, I don't want you to touch me like that. Don't go into my room without asking first. Okay, that's something our kids will have a physical boundary with us, especially as they're getting older, as teenagers. They will say, please don't come to my room without asking. Please don't look through my things. Okay, these are physical boundaries. Um, and the violations of physical boundaries are when there's unwanted touch, when you are not taking care of your physical needs, um, like you're waiting to eat or to drink, you're tired, but you overdo it and then you don't rest. And it can be very problematic. There could be physical abuse as well. So it could be very problematic when we neglect our physical needs. When we neglect our physical needs, then we end up doing damage to ourselves. And our children will start to neglect their physical needs because we are role modeling that to them. I'll just share with you, parents, when I was a young mom, and I was very tired. People who are young parents or parents, new parents, will understand like the first few years are really challenging because our babies need so much from us. And I was no different. I was very, very exhausted, especially with the first one. And so when he was a toddler, I would say, Mommy needs a nap. And I would go and have a nap. And I put him in front of a TV show, like a educational show or something, or give him something to do. And I would say to him, if you're tired too, you can come and lie with mommy. And oftentimes after my nap, I would wake up and see him right beside me. But the funny thing is that because I was like that with both of my children, not having a physical boundary when it came to my fatigue, because I knew that I couldn't do my job well when I was tired and I needed to sleep. I needed to lie down because my sleep was so broken up, right, when they were little. So both of my children, I will say, and they're old now, they both still nap. They both still listen to their physical boundaries. And I think it's so important that we listen to our bodies. This is what I have taught my children. Listen to your body. Your body will always tell you what it needs. What if it's hungry, if you're tired, listen to your body. So that's physical boundary. Emotional boundaries is all about respecting and honoring feelings and energy. And setting emotional boundaries means recognizing how much emotional energy you're putting into something and know when to share and not to share and limit your emotional sharing with people who respond poorly. So we don't share our feelings and our thoughts with someone who's not respectful of them or supportive. So we have to respect emotional boundaries and we validate the feelings of others and make sure that you respect their ability to take in emotional information. You will get clues as to if someone can handle what you are sharing. So you might say something like, when I share my feelings with you, I get criticized and it makes me feel totally shut down. I can only share with you if you're able to respond respectfully with me. Okay. You might say that to a parent or a spouse. I'm sorry you're having a hard time right now. I'm not in a place to take in all of this information. Do you think we can talk about it later? That's another thing. Like, especially if you're having a heated discussion, you might want to say, like, I can't process this right now. Let's talk later when we're both calm. I'm having a hard time. I really need to talk. Are you in a place to listen right now? Right? We're getting feedback with the person that we want to share the information with. I really can't talk about it right now. It isn't the right time. Okay. When you're not ready to talk about something. And we are crossing the emotional boundary when we dismiss or we criticize feelings. And that's with our kids too. If we're saying, um, oh, suck it up. Why are you so worried? That's part of school. When we're giving that kind of messaging, then we are actually violating their emotional boundary, right? When we're dismissing their feelings when they're sharing with us, asking questions that are not appropriate for the relationship. Like when we're asking questions of people, we need to determine whether they want to answer it. Like we don't force people to answer questions, and we need to make it appropriate, our questions. And we need to be able to read and go through personal and emotional information. And it's okay if we're not ready to say, I'm not ready to listen to this problem. It sounds like you're really upset and it's starting to upset me. Is it okay if we talk about it later, or can you find someone else to talk to about this, right? If you're uncomfortable, that's a boundary and it's okay. Um, when you're asking people to justify their feelings, no feelings should be judged. Our feelings are part of our humanity. And so we have to honor everybody's feelings. If you say to someone, you don't have a right to be mad, that's not okay. Yes, they have a right to be mad. We all have a right to feel our feelings. Okay. And it is part of our humanness. Assuming that we know how other people feel. Oh, you always feel this way when I do this. No, you are implying when you should be asking, how do you feel about this? Is this how you feel? Telling other people how they feel is toxic and not relational. So we don't tell people how they feel. We ask them, and we don't emotionally dump on people. Okay, because that is hard on someone. You need to feel like you can unleash your feelings to someone who is safe. And if you are uncomfortable with emotional dumping of a friend or somebody else, then you can say, I can't really handle this right now. Is there someone else you can talk to? Or can we talk about this when I'm in a better state of mind? Because I'm not in a good state of mind to be listening to your complaints. Okay. Sharing inappropriate emotional information with your children. I'm going to say, parents, like we have to be so careful that we remember that our children are children. They are not our sounding board. They are not, they should not be absorbing any of our problems because we're the parent, right? And when they absorb our problems, it's parentification, actually. We should be helping them with their problems, but our own problems need to go to other adults, a support network of adults that are emotionally capable of helping us, not dumping on our children emotionally. Okay. So, boundaries of time. Parents have a hard time with this because there's so much to do when you have little ones, right? So, but our time is valuable and it's important to protect it. And we need to set time boundaries at work, at home, and socially. Setting time boundaries is really healthy. So you cannot overcommit yourself. When you understand what your priorities are, then it's easier to limit the amount of time that you're giving to other people. So a healthy time boundary might sound like, I cannot come to that event this weekend. I'm really busy. I have an hour. I can only stay for an hour. Do you have time to chat today? I would love to help, but I would be overcommitting myself. Is there another time that we can talk? We have family time on Sundays, so we won't make it. You need to protect that family time, right? Family time is Sundays for me, so I'm really protective of that time. I'm happy to help with that. My hourly rate is this. Okay, violated time boundaries looks like asking professionals for their time without paying them, demanding time from people, keeping people in conversations or on tasks for longer than we told them that we would. Okay, we're using up more time than we said that we would. We're showing up late or canceling on people because we have overcommitted and contacting people when they said they would be unavailable. All right, so we ask for people to respect our time and we also respect other people's time. That's a time boundary. All right, material boundaries. Material boundaries refer to items, possessions like your home, your car, your clothing, furniture, jewelry, money, etc. And it's healthy to understand that you can and cannot share and how you expect your items and your materials to be treated by the people that you're sharing them with. So have limits on your material items that are treated and expect them to be treated well. That will prevent resentment over time. And it might sound like I can't lend you out my car. I'm the only person with the insurance. We can't give you any more money. We would be happy to help in another way. Sure, I'm happy to share my dress with you. Just a heads up, I need it back by Friday. Material boundaries are violated when your things are destroyed, stolen, borrowed too frequently. Another material violation is the use of materials, money, and possessions to manipulate and control relationships. And the more we set boundaries, the more we recognize them. In setting boundaries, we help people show up for us and also become better at showing up for them. Now, I just want to make a side note here about material boundaries with our teenagers, because our teenagers can be very demanding, right? They want expensive haircuts, they want expensive clothes, right? They think that you're the bank. And I have experienced this with my youngest. So I will tell you what I tell my youngest. I say, I always want to know what you want. I want you to share with me what you want, but I don't want you to demand it because it's my money. And I can choose how my money is spent, but I always want to hear what you want. That isn't really healthy, right? And it actually really worked with him because he was getting demanding materially. And then I realized that that's not okay because we don't want to spoil our children materially parents. When we spoil our children materially, they don't learn how to work for things. And so we can't cross that line and give them everything they want materially. Um, I, I'm a firm believer in giving our children what they need, not what they want. We try to get them on occasion, like for their birthday, Christmas time, or whatever. On occasion, we try to get them things that they want within reason, right? Whatever is in our budget, if we want to, okay? Not because we feel guilty or whatever. We try to give them what they want, but most importantly is to give them what they need. And what they need is us. So we need to be available for them. We need to connect with them. We need to show them healthy relationships. That is much more important than giving them things materially. All right. And sexual boundaries, this is something that we got to teach our teenagers, right? Like that you have to ask for consent, that you talk about, like if you're in a couple relationship, um, talk about what pleases you, requesting a condom so that you are um, having safe sex and contraception and saying no. It's okay to say no, that you don't like it or that hurts you, and that you're protecting your privacy. Uh, and we need to teach our kids at a young age about unwanted touch, assault, or rape. Um, because I was a victim of abuse, sexual abuse, I was very, very aware that I needed to teach my children at a young age about touching. So I explained to them what their private parts were when they were toddlers, really. And I explained to them what their private parts were and that nobody was to touch their private parts. Um, unless it was a doctor that was checking on you or mom or dad had tried to help you clean. But otherwise, nobody touches your private parts. And I think it's so important, parents, that we let our children know because if they don't know that that's a boundary, then they are prey to being a victim of sexual abuse. Okay, that's my two bits on that. Okay, intellectual boundaries. So this refers to thoughts, ideas, curiosity, um, a respecting of ideas, right? And a willingness to hear other people's ideas. So we don't belittle or make fun of somebody, especially our children when they come up with ideas, right? We listen to them, right? So healthy intellectual boundaries includes whether or not it's a good time to talk about something. It might sound like, I know we disagree, but I won't let you belittle me like that. I would love to talk about this more, but I don't think talking about it during Thanksgiving dinner is the best time. And it's okay to tell our kids, like, can we talk about this later? I know have said that before, um, because I'm really busy right now and I can't really give the attention that it needs. When we talk about this, we don't get very far. I think it's a good idea to avoid the conversation right now. So you might want to do that like in a marriage or in a work relationship. I think it's really important that we talk about things, though. I can respect that we have a difference of opinion, and it's okay to have a difference of opinion, right? We need to allow people to have differences in their thinking and be okay with it, because not everyone has to conform to your idea. Does this mean that you need to be accepting of all thoughts and opinions? No. It is also important to learn to recognize the difference between healthy and unhealthy discourse. If someone is sharing an opinion that is inherently harmful, like racism, sexism, xenophobia, homophobia, then you have every right to put a hard line in the sand and say, I don't really want to talk about this, or I'm offended by what you said, and distancing yourself from them or cutting them off. You do not have to have intellectual discourse with someone who is violating you or other people. So It's okay to have a boundary with opinions that you know are harmful. All right. But again, I want to reiterate to you parents how important it is to accept all of our children's ideas, even if they seem crazy. Like, if it seems crazy to you, it's fine. Don't disclose that to your child. Just listen. They just need you to listen. Sometimes you can question them. You can say, well, do you think that's feasible? Do you think that makes sense? You know, like teenagers, they're always like, I hate school. I don't want to be in school anymore. Right? Like, I know that. I've heard that before. And I'm like, okay, well, what would you do then? Like, how would that work? Right? Legally, you're supposed to be in school. Um, I didn't nix the idea. I didn't say, don't be stupid or whatever. I said, let's open the conversation. I'm going to ask you a question about it, which is so much healthier. Okay, what happens to our children when we cross their boundaries? Because they have boundaries, right? And we have to adhere to their boundaries as well. So they don't learn how to have boundaries with other people. I know for me, my boundaries were crossed a lot. I had very controlling parents in my childhood. And then as a result, as an adult, I had problems with boundaries with other people. So this is the problem, parents. Those of you that are controlling, telling your children what to do all the time, it is a danger because now our children don't have boundaries, are not respected. Their boundaries are not respected. So in adult life, it's going to influence who they attract into their lives that are unhealthy because they don't have boundaries. They get taken advantage of. Okay. And they can also have anxiety because they don't feel like they have control. Anxiety really is a feeling of not being in control. So we take control away when we are crossing their boundaries. And we have to give them the control so that they don't feel anxious. And they feel badly about themselves because they don't think their opinions matter. When we brush away their ideas, then we are giving the message that I don't care about what you think. And that is not a healthy message for our children. Our children need to feel heard. I say in a relationship, healthy relationship, you need three things to feel heard, to feel seen, and to feel supported. And those three things are mandatory in every healthy relationship. So if you want to foster healthy relationships with your children, then you need to listen to their opinions um, and make them important because they are. They can become people pleasers who don't listen to their own voice. Yes, because they don't want conflict because they had conflict in their childhood. So they will end up not listening to themselves and instead doing what other people want them to do. And that is not healthy. Okay? All right. Those are the boundaries. Now, when do we have boundaries with our kids? Okay, we have to have boundaries with our kids. It's super, super important, right? To keep them healthy. And in our own families, we need to have boundaries. So when it's a safety issue, no, you don't bang on the window because you're going to break it, right? That's safety. Um, or no playing with fire. Obvious things where something bad can happen. We have to set a boundary, right? So we have a safety boundary, their safety boundary for themselves, and our own safety boundary, right? So, and I'm talking about like if we have a teenager that is really irate and starting to break things, and um, younger siblings are scared, then they are creating an unsafe environment in the home. And as leaders of our family, we have to ensure safety for everybody. So we have to have a boundary. We have to say, son, daughter, you're really mad right now. It's fine to be mad, but it's not okay to break things. I'd like you to go outside, go for a run, go for a walk, do something to release the anger, and then come back. Something like that. We have our punch or pillow. Maybe you can go and punch your pillow right now, but you're not breaking anything in the house and you're not yelling and screaming and scaring your brother or sister. Okay, so that's a safety boundary, okay? Because we're protecting the emotional health of every family member. All right. Material wants. So again, I would give you the example of when our teenagers want everything. It's not our job to give them everything they want. Our job is to give them what they need. And what they need is us, relationship, good modeling, learning values, giving service to others, right? We want to raise good people. So giving into their material wants does not make them good people, parents. I've seen time and time again teenagers that have been spoiled and then they do not function well in life because they are used to someone giving them things instead of working for it. So we have to be super careful that we are not giving into their material wants. We let them work for things if they really want something. And then we provide. On special occasions, we can provide, but we give them what they need, not what they want. Okay. And again, I mentioned protecting the siblings, right? So if they're fighting, you have to intervene because they're crossing a boundary of now someone in the family doesn't feel safe because they're being bullied by their sibling, right? So we have to cross a boundary. We have to establish a boundary with behavior with siblings that no, you're not fighting. We're going to talk about this. What's going on? Why are you two arguing? Right? We make sure we catch it early so it doesn't escalate. And we want both siblings, brothers or sisters, to feel safe with each other. And so we talk about that. We're like, when you talk that way to your baby sister, she doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel good being in the home, and that's not okay. In our home, everyone needs to feel good. It's our job to make sure in a family that everyone is functioning well and feels good and feels safe in the home. So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to talk about it. All right, that's modeling, that's taking parent leadership. We have to keep our homes healthy, parents. Even if we grew up in unhealthy homes, we want better for our children. And so we need to be healthy, right? We have to put ourselves in check when we're yelling or getting angry or behaving in an unhealthy manner. We have to take the time out and calm ourselves down so we can respond instead of react or overreact. Asking for things that cross our personal values. I'll just share with you, parents, I think it's super important that we let our children know what our values are. Okay. Like, don't accept things because you think, oh, it's this generation and sex is so open and, everybody is doing it and it's all over the internet. No, if you have a value that sex is special, that it should be saved for someone that you love, then you set that standard at home with your kids. You talk about it, right? And I know it's a hard conversation. It is a hard conversation. I had that conversation with my oldest when he was a teenager about it. I mean, we were so open, right? He was so okay to talk to me about sex. And so I shared my values. I said, I don't believe in casual sex. I believe that when you are intimate with someone, that it is special and you don't just give it up for anybody. That is how I was raised, honey. This is what I explained to him. Your grandma's the same way. This is how she is. This is how I am. Um, that's my value. And surprisingly, he took it super well and he actually agreed. So that's the thing about sharing our values with our kids, right? And explaining the why we feel the way we feel about it. I think is super important. And because we were close, like we have a very close relationship with both of my children, we can talk about these things and it's not weird, right? Okay, so that's super, super important. Share your values. If it's about money, if it's about saving, if it's about um, being kind to people, always showing empathy and kindness to people. It's about serving. If it's about sexual boundaries, share your values. That's how you pass it down generationally. Okay. All right. So, how to enforce boundaries? Okay, so you have to have a relational conversation, like I explained with my oldest, right, about sex. You have to have a relational conversation explaining why you have the boundary. So, um, you know, you want things, but you talk to me in a manner that is not okay. Like, I don't mind you asking, but I don't want you demanding. Demanding is not healthy in a family. Okay, something like that. So have a relational conversation about it. Do you think that's okay to demand things when I'm the one that's working for my money? Right? Um, do you think it's okay to use their body for your own pleasure and not consider their feelings? Like this is a relational conversation. And invites the questioning invites dialogue. So we don't just tell them, we invite conversation. What do you think? Do you think it's okay? Right? Because then if they stop and they can think about it and ask them if the boundary is not respected, what should happen? Okay, so if you're gonna, if you yell at me again, what do you think mom should do? If you take money from my wallet again, what do you think mom should do? Right? Because do you think it's okay? Like is it okay for me to just go into your wallet and take your money? Do you think that's okay? See, now we are getting them to stop and think about their actions. Okay. And then we're putting in place something that's going to happen if the boundary is not respected. And discuss the home environment and each member's needs. So I a family that thrives is when everybody in the family is thriving. And we all have certain needs, right? Some of us need more time, alone time. Some of us need more social time. Um, some of us need more physical touch, right? To feel good, to feel loved, and to feel supported. And so we can talk about that. We can say, well, your brother, he's more of an introvert, so he needs more time to himself. Or your sister needs me right now because she's little, and so I'm going to stay and watch some shows with her right now, but I can come and spend time with you afterwards, right? So we have to discuss everybody's important in the family. Everyone has needs, and we're going to try to accommodate so that everyone feels good in the family because that's a healthy family. A healthy family is a family where every member of the family thrives, and that is the goal, is that everyone's feeling good about themselves. Okay. All right, parents, that's it. That is boundaries, why boundaries are healthy. I hope I gave you lots of examples of uh, what we need to do as parents to enforce boundaries and also to respect our children's boundaries and why it is so important to have boundaries. So I am going to stop the video now and take questions from parents. I just want to say thank you, parents, for joining today. And I hope you got a lot out of this. You can find me on LinkedIn, or you can find me on Facebook, and definitely on the School of Humankind. And if you miss this recording, you can actually access it through the School of Humankind website under community events. All right. Thank you, parents. We will take questions now.